Hello, BookTube. Well, I feel much better. A little bit of phlegm left in the throat, but I'm very much recovered from whatever bug I had yesterday, and that's great. So I thought we'd go on with the library tour. This is the fourth bookshelf of the tall east wall bookcase, and it has no transverse books, but it does have a pod of similar books at the beginning. I thought we'd get that out of the way. The first one is the Augustan Poets of Rome, and this is the volume dedicated to Horace. And it's by an old 19th century Oxford Don named Sellars, and it's full of that kind of steep Oxford scholarship that I just love so much. I go back to this all the time. The thing about Horace is that once you've done this, there's no way to update it. You can do another big scholarly book on Horace in the 21st century, but it won't have any different material than this. It will just have different readings and different interpretations. So I go back to it all the time. And then the next one is not scholarship, but it's a little problematic. It's David Ferry's famous translation of the Odes of Horus. And the reason it's problematic is something that's come up on this library tour before, which is that I'm losing faith in English language translations of the classics, especially people like Horace and Catullus. And this is the usual setup, the English on one side, the Latin on the other. But when I reread it, I do go back, I do look at this, but when I do, I notice things that are missing. I notice judgment calls that I think are wrong. And there seems to be no way around that. Anyone who does one thing well in one place will do something I don't like somewhere else. So I'm starting to think that there might be some truth to an Oxford Don in the early part of the 20th century once opined that the only translation of Horace or Catullus or Virgil that anybody will truly like is their own. And that's why there are so many amateur translations. But I thought I should at least have one volume of the Odes of Horus in English on the shelf. And the next one, we go back to scholarship. This is the Odes and Epodes of Horus, Volume 1. This is an old privately printed set. And I used to have a whole shelf of them. I found them all at the Brattle. But all the others, everything after Volume 1, are translations. And this is not. This is sort of an introduction, a scholarly introduction, also a wonderful essay on comparative English language translations that existed at the day, all of which are gone now. And this, it was a benchmark of amateur Horace scholarship of the day 100 years ago. So, and I love it for that. But then we leave Horace land behind and we move on to something else. In this case, one of my favorite novels. This is Moby Dick. And this is the old Barnes & Noble remainder of Moby Dick with the Mark Summers engravings, gorgeous color Mark Summers engravings all throughout. And yeah, there we go. I was working at Barnes & Noble when we got these, when Barnes & Noble first came out with these. And if I'd known how much I was going to like it and how rare it was going to be, how seldom I was going to see it for sale, I would have bought the whole stack of them. And I didn't. Instead, I got one copy. And I love it. I absolutely love it. It's for the heft, for the quality, for the illustrations. I like it more than any other Moby Dick edition. But I can't use this edition. You can see already, just holding it over the years has worn away some of the finery, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to wear it away to nothing. So I keep looking for a used copy of this, and it just doesn't appear. And I don't know why Barnes & Noble doesn't fix that. There's always a market for an illustrated Moby Dick, and the one they have now in their leather-bound classics edition, it isn't as good. I don't know why they wouldn't just keep printing this. But anyway, it's here in this room, along with about half a dozen other Moby Dicks, but I never actually pick it off the shelf and read it, which kind of defeats the purpose. And then we have a big Penguin edition. This is the Penguin Book of Irish Fiction, edited by Colm Tobin, and it's... I have gone back to this so many times. It is a fantastic, big anthology. I love it. Absolutely love it. And, of course, because it's a big orange-spined penguin of Irish fiction, here in the room it goes side by side with another big orange-spined penguin. And this is the collected stories of William Trevor. I have a long and complicated history with this gigantic volume. When it first came out, I thought, do we really need more solid Irish stuff like this? Is there any artistry here involved at all? But Trevor was the first person to admit there wasn't any artistry in his fiction, and the more I've read them, the more they've stuck with me, the more I love them and that's the acid test of any fiction. So, I brought it in here. And then we have an oldie but a goodie. This is Helen Nicolay's Our Capital on the Potomac. You see that clearly. This is a 100-year-old memoir of Washington that has vanished. She was a member in good standing of that terrifying subclass of human being that I've mentioned on this channel before, the Washington Society matron. She was the wife of a diplomat, and they had an opulent home that was open all the time, and their parties were legendary. Presidents and ambassadors came and went, and this tells the history of Washington. Every once in a while, in the midst of the history, she will wink out. The curtain will lift just a little, and she will start to anecdotize. And you really wish she did more of it. But I used to live in Washington, and I have a marked soft spot for it. I think that will become obvious in the rest of this room's tour. And this is so charming that I had to have it. I had to have it in this room. And then something I think you've seen on this channel before, maybe not. This is Otto Penzler. He edited the Big Book of Jack the Ripper. This gigantic, it's got a pub sheet. So from 2016. So I probably did talk about it on this channel. It's double columns on both sides, and it's everything. Oh God, tons and tons of nonfiction and fiction. Just an amazing collection. I love these big books anyway, these Otto Penzler Black Lizard big books anyway. But on Jack the Ripper, a subject I love, I couldn't pass it up. And then a book. This is Hothouse by Boris Kaca. This is his memoir of Random House, of working at Random House, and for our Strauss and Giroux and the publishing industry at the time that he knew it, full of semi-reliable anecdotes and lots of great insights into the towering figures behind the scenes of publishing in the late 20th century. I don't quite know what it's doing in here. I liked it, but I'm not sure I liked it that much. But that's the whole, that's a side point I'm noticing of these bookshelf tours, is that they're helping me to cull and move things around. But I still like it. I like it very much. Then a classic. This is The Last Days of Pompeii by Edward Bulwer Lytton, a legendarily bad author. There's a Bulwer Lytton Prize, actually, for horrible prose. I kind of like his prose. I think he's, I'm all for him being lampooned as a horrible author, but I think he has a certain very energetic charm about him, and never more so than in this book, which is, the story of half a dozen people living their lives in one way or in one degree or another of rectitude in what they don't know, but we do, is the shadow of the upcoming eruption of Vesuvius. So I just love it. I absolutely love it. And I found this illustrated edition, this old illustrated edition at the Brow. You have to have, if you're going to get The Last Days of Pompeii, you have to have an illustrated edition. And a sad book, very sad, that I had to have in here. I've reread these pieces many times anyway, but it probably would have been in here no matter what. But this is Things Worth Fighting For by Michael Kelly. And the reason that it's in here, in addition to the quality of the prose, is of course that he died. He died in the line of his job. He died in a ditch. And that makes, this is all very in the moment, very, very engaged political criticism, usually of the Clinton administration. And it's all just knife edge written, just fantastically written. But you can't help but read it in the knowledge of what happened to the author, and that's melancholy. I tell myself it would be in here anyway. But then we move on to this odd thing. This came too early for this channel. This is How to Do Things with Books in Victorian Britain. And it's not really a study of other things you can do with books, like put them underneath a table or something like that. Really, it's a study of all the different roles that books played in Victorian Britain, all the different ways people use them, not as objects, but as books. And I love that sort of thing. Books on books. I just love. If they're done well, I just love them. So I'm due for a reread of this. This came out, I think, 4 years ago. I think 2012. So I'm due for a reread of it sometime soon. Then one of the classics of 20th century nonfiction. This is 7 Pillars of Wisdom by T.E. Lawrence, and I have the Penguin Classic of this, the old olive spine Penguin Classic. But when I saw this is a heavy, deckle-edged, opulently illustrated, beautiful hardcover. When I saw that, I had to get it. So, because, you know, when it's a book you love as much as I love this one, like the Moby Dick, the format sometimes counts. Sometimes you want something that is really going to hold up and that it's going to be a joy to go through. So I found this at the Brattle for $1. It was a little bit falling apart, but I reinforced it, and it's the one that I pull down. I don't pull down the Penguin one anymore, even though it's technically a little more convenient than lugging this thing around. And then the last book on this shelf for today is an anthology. This is Philip Lopate's The Art of the Personal Essay. Just exactly what it says. It's a big collection of essays going back 400 years and chosen with real skill and with a great introduction. And as far as a 1-volume essay collection goes, this is probably the best of the bunch. And the thing about essays is you go back to them a lot. You revisit them, and I do. So I had to have this one in here. And there you go. That is the 4th bookshelf of the tall East Wall bookcase. And we'll move on next time, because this thing just keeps going. This is a tall bookcase. But in the meantime, I'll see you soon. Book 2. Thank you.